I'm walking you through how I develop a loose still life using a very simple palette. I'm working on a still life of white roses, a small bottle, and a book. This is how I develop a painting from start to finish, just to keep a loose, energized feel so you can follow along with me. This is our warm-up. This is getting to know our subject. I've tried to skip the stage and I regret it every time. What we're going to do, you can also use colored pencils. You can use anything you want. I'm just using this fine tip end of the Tombow marker. Ideally, this should be a timed exercise. I would say 2 minutes max. First thing we're going to concentrate on are the flowers, and we're going to do just a blind contour drawing, meaning you're going to look at your flowers and you are not going to look at your paper. I am only concentrating on the flower petals. By doing this exercise, you will see what marks you naturally make without thinking about it, because you're working against the clock and you don't have time to sit and really look at details. This exercise also warms up your hand. It keeps you loose and free, and hopefully we can continue that freedom when we reach the canvas. Then I spend a few minutes observing the greenery, loosening up, finding rhythm, not worrying about perfection, not looking at my paper, just following the lines of the leaves. Finally, I bring it all together. The roses, the leaves, the stems, the vase, the little bottle on the book. This step helps me see the shapes instead of the details, and it keeps my lines relaxed and helps me prepare to be loose for the canvas. Next, I explore my compositions. I create 3 to 6 quick sketches, testing different placements and different arrangements. Some feel balanced, others feel crowded, and a few seem to work for me. These tiny drawings are like visual thinking, a way of experimenting freely before I commit to the canvas. The colors I'm using is Cad Yellow Deep, Cerulean Blue, and Permanent Rose, black, and titanium white. You just pick any 3 primaries. From my composition sketches, I choose 2 possibilities. I use the blue to outline my objects, and if I decide that I'm not loving that composition, I move over to a different color so I won't get confused, and go over the original blue and keep moving. Now I've moved my cup facing the other way and moved it over a little, and I did that because this was ending up in the center and I wasn't crazy about that composition. So now I'm just gonna loosely just block in some leaves. I'm just Now I'm going to add just a little bit more blue and get a different green. And again, we're doing this really quickly because we got to get to our camp. Now I'm just gonna block in my flowers. That's a little too pink. I've just made up a neutral and I've got a bigger brush, and we're just gonna see which colors we like better. This is just made up of the black, the blue, and a touch of the red. Let's do the other one really black, really dark. Make that one real dramatic. And maybe the other side is where the light is. So we'll make that the light side. This is the more neutral color mixed with the white, and get our tabletop in. Warm colors come forward and cooler colors recede. So let's try a little blue back here. And on this side, let's try a purple on that side where the light's coming through. I'm leaning more towards this one. In doing this study, I think I like a neutral back here. I think we get rid of the cup and bring our flowers down, because I think it was a distraction. And then what we can do is make our flowers bigger. And my light source over on my table is the shadow is over here. I do like the dark against this peachy color. So I say we keep the dark, but let's switch sides. The blue on this side. And then that way our cap of our lid is going to show up. Now I'm just taking all the colors that was left over on my palette from our warm up, and I'm just making a neutral color. Instead of wasting my paint, I'm just scraping it all up. And now I've got a new palette with the same exact colors and this mud right there. Block in with our blue or pink, whatever, whichever color you have. These are just the roses, and just thinking about the lines that I made with my continuous line drawing. But I'm not trying to get all worked up about detail right now. And there's the little band. Just like the continuous line drawing, I keep things fluid and light. No tight outlines, no details, only guidance. Now I move on to the underpainting. Here I'm thinking about energy and movement, creating the same lines I did with the continuous line drawing, referring back to some of the lines I used in that exercise. Just expressive brushstrokes, blocking in shapes, suggestions rather than details. I have added just a touch of red to my green mixture, and this helps create different colors and values with my green.
And then I'm going to take this neutral color. I'm just basically blocking in just big shapes, right? Let's just take that neutral color I had on my palette from before, and then I'm just going to block in a color. This isn't the color that it will stay. I'm just getting a color down. Just give ourselves just a base layer and a neutral color. Now I'm going to go through and let's define some of the roses, or all of the roses, and not being precise. I'm just loosely putting in our initial sketch, just like we worked on in the paper, just keeping it real fluid and loose. And I'm trying not to over mix. I want some of the mixture to mix on the canvas, if that makes sense. Now I'm just kind of looking at my roses where some of the darker areas are.
Continuing the blocking in with my greens, bending it back and forth between the darks and the lights. This layer sets the foundation and brings the painting into life. Some of these strokes will be covered up, but some will stay and remain as energy.
And then we can go back in with the lighter color for the highlights. And I'm just going back and forth between adding a bit more of the red and then a bit more of the yellow, just to make sure that they're not all the same color. And even though these are yellow roses, I'm adding just a little bit of pink. So my light is coming from here, so all of this is going to be the dark color. And I just have a mixture of the blue and the black. And again, we're just blocking in, so. But if you got right close to this, you would see that it is not pure black. I'm just letting the colors kind of mix on the canvas. Now I'm just going to block in my bottle here. And when we do our table color, we can always, you know, cut in. So I'm not being too precious with it. Now I'm kind of looking at that watermark. I'm just going to kind of mix it on the canvas. And I can see this book highlighted in that, so I'll go back to that. And I don't want to cover up all my initial marks where all the energy is either. Leaf right there. Okay, that's our blocking in. So let's work on these flowers just a little bit. Let's give them some color, some shadow where I see it. So I'm just coming in and hitting the highlights of where this light is hitting the roses. Gosh, it's hard to talk and paint. I think the goal is form your shapes so the viewer recognizes what the flower is. And even if they don't recognize that this is a rose and their brain sees something different, that's okay. You just want the essence of the flower. And if you load your brush where there is other colors on your brush and not totally mixed, it will create edges that look like folds. And I'm just twisting my brush. So now let's work on this shadow. Shadows have color, and I'm kind of seeing a purple. I'm gonna try to kind of calm some of this, all these marks up a little bit, and kind of bring that shadow color up here. And make that a little darker, because that's the shadow. I'm thickening up some of these lines because I don't want them to look like just, you know, that same mark over and over.
In the final stage, I refine and add details, but I try not to cover up everything. I let some of those first brush strokes remain visible, little traces of the painting that was in the beginning. That contrast between loose and more defined, to me, is where that magic kind of lives. I hope this inspires you to go get some flowers and paint and keep it loose and just have fun and pick a different background if you want. Just enjoy the moment of painting. I'll see you next week, and I hope you have a great day.